Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so pleased to have on singer, songwriter, and an incredible guitarist with a brand new album out. I'm sure you know her, Emily Wolfe. Emily, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
You know, checking out this new album, the Blowback, we got to talk about this. And I've certainly, enjoyed your past albums and everything else and your EPs that you've put out. But this kind of feels like, is this your Bob Dylan album?
I know that I feel the most proud of this record that I've ever felt of a record. I'm proud of my other records and I love them, and I put as much of myself into them as I could. But because I produced this one myself, it just feels like, the thing that I've been working towards and gathering knowledge my whole life to make. So I'm really connected to it and I'm really proud of it. So that's, I guess so.
Well, what I thought was interesting was listening to the album, and there's just so many great songs on here. And certainly, I can hear some of your influences also, certainly from, 90s rock and things like that, but even the acoustic guitar that you've got in here, and certainly the effects pedals you're using. But you hook us with like the guitar. I mean, this is like a guitar player's dream album, because you got all these hooky opens, with the guitar, and then it's kind of like a good teacher, like back when we were going to school, to where they kind of trick you with humor or something, and then you slide your message in and go, oh wait, there's a statement in here. There's depth to the lyrics. I mean, how did you make that combination? Because you did it well, but it's kind of tricky, because you hook us with the guitar part, and then you bring in the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that. That was the goal for me, because I feel so connected to the guitar community and so connected to the songwriting community, and I wanted to like meld those together. And for me, the best way to do that was, okay, the best part of a song is the hook. So how can I make every guitar part a hook in itself? And so yeah, it's all about the hooks, I think. And in order, after you hook somebody in, I feel like you can tell them what you want and the message you're trying to get across. So for me, there was a lot of political, social issues in this record, and a lot of personal things that I felt like needed to be said. And I guess that was kind of my vision for it. So I'm glad it came across.
I was thinking too, when I was listening to the album, Emily, it's like one of those things to where it needs to come with a journal, because I felt like listening to the songs and certainly enjoying the guitar work and the instrumentation throughout all of them, I kind of felt like you dropped off your journal, like what you were thinking while you were writing these songs, like Walk in My Shoes, and I can go on and on. With every song, you're kind of making a statement. But what I like about it, I think what fans are going to love about it, since it dropped in October, to where it's not preachy. It's more a point of, through the lyrics and the songs, you're sharing your journal, you're sharing your innermost feelings, and that all of us can relate to.
Oh man, that's awesome. That means a lot. Like, I'm glad that you said that, because it's like, that's kind of what I wanted as well. Like, as my own producer, I feel like in the past, there's been kind of a part of the recording process where I give the producer my lyrics and I say, this is the song. And then there's a point where it flips into like, how do we commercialize these lyrics and make them, relatable to the masses? And it almost kind of waters them down. And so, being my own producer, I got to like just let it all out, and there was nothing saying this is too much or this is too little or this needs to change. Like, I spent a lot of time on the lyrics, kind of making sure that they were exactly what I wanted to say, and not watered down at all. So it was kind of a scary thing to put this record out, because it is so intense, and like everything that I said in there is very very real and very true, and so it was pretty scary. But I'm glad that you said that because it makes me feel like, okay, well, maybe I did the right thing.
I think you definitely did the right thing. I just think, and once again, and that's so well put, because, I think being your own producer on something like this that's so near and dear to your heart, it has to be hard, but also then, like you said, you're not having to compromise.
Yeah.
You're not having to compromise on the lyrics or the guitar. I'm just amazed, once again, because I knew it going in listening, that you produced it, but also it's like, usually being guitar players as we are, to where anybody who's a producer and they have a dominant instrument, that's all you hear. It's
Yeah.
like going, yeah, and so if it's the drummer producing, it's like going, all I hear are drums right now, but you didn't do that. And
Yeah.
so how did you fight that impulse?
Oh my gosh, it wasn't easy because I love guitar so much, but I had to split myself into two different people, essentially, like the artist and then the producer. And the thing that I had to really keep in mind was the big picture throughout the whole thing, and write down in all my notes, like, what would a producer do? So like, what would a producer do to this song? And so I did my best. Like, I learned from the producers I have worked with, like Ben Tanner from Alabama Shakes on my first record, and then Michael Schumann from Queens of the Stone Age on my second record. And then working at a music shop for so long, like all the knowledge that I gathered from those experiences, I put into this record. And what I learned a lot from Michael was like, it's about the songs and how do you benefit the song the best. And so a lot of times, like, unfortunately, a guitar solo isn't going to benefit the song or put momentum into it. So I had to like watch myself on that, because I do love a guitar solo, and but it was about, how do I honor the songs the best. And so I really had to like keep that big picture in mind the whole time. And it was a fun challenge to do that, to split myself into two. And it was like angel and devil kind of thing. Like the guitar player is the devil, and I was like ready to rip, and then like the producer side of me was like, okay, like wrangle it, like it's about the song, not the so there is so much guitar on this record and so many layered stereo guitar tracks, because I love that. But it's very intentional in that, if the lyrics are aggressive, like I had to put aggressive guitars in there that didn't distract from the lyrics. So it was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. So.
Well, and you did such a great job with it too, as you brought up, with the guitar parts not conflicting with the vocals, because your vocals sound just amazing on this album also. Right. It's just, they're so pure and clean. And I think, with what you are saying lyrically, I think they need to be, you know what I mean? Just like we were talking about, like with Walk in My Shoes and any of these songs, it's like, I can't remember the track now, but it's like, it's total folk. I'm like going, oh my gosh, he threw a folk in here. Because like, you start off where it's like going, okay, I'm kind of feeling a little punk rock, alternative rock. I've got my nod to the 90s. I've got a little bit of 80s in there. And then it's like going, and there's your random folk song with acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun, because like, if people, certainly your fans that you have and new fans that you're garnering are going to listen to this album, there's really, it's kind of like, I'm listening to your playlist on shuffle and going, oh, this is it. This is where she pulled this idea from.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, I feel that's another thing, is I feel like if I worked with a different producer, there's a couple of songs on this record where they would say, this doesn't fit on the record. But I just wanted to like make a record that felt like a reflection of everything I've been through over the past couple of years, and in turn, that kind of like gives something for everybody. Like there is the punk, there's the alternative rock, and then the Americana thing with a song called Hopeless in Panorama, which I wrote in a hotel room in Oregon.
And it sounds so great, because and with that one, to where it felt to me almost like a Johnny Cash song, because like you could tell, it had that feel, like you said, with the Americana, to where you're touring and you're stating the different places, and then whereas certainly Silencer and Predator, much more edgier, but also edgier messages.
Right. yeah, really intense messages on this record. And it's interesting too, because I've never really written songs with that intense of messages. And you know, it was kind of like throwing myself off a cliff at, you know, to some extent, but it's one of those things that needed to happen for me to kind of enter a new phase in my career where I'm just like not afraid of anything anymore. So,
Right.
yeah.
But I think also, you know, Emily, I think listening to this album and listening to each song, and certainly some of these songs I should not listen to while I'm driving in a car because I'm going to be driving faster because I'm going to be following your beats that you have going. But you know, I think it's also going to be empowering to a lot of people because it's you know, we all have so many shared experiences. And to me, you know, like I said earlier in the interview, I could relate to a lot of these messages that you put out there, and I think a lot of people are going to find, you know, a message they relate to. And was that your goal also, not only for a catharsis for yourself, but for the listeners and fans and everyone else to get something from it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was definitely something that was the goal too. I had so many goals with this album, but I think being you know, having gone through so many things over the past couple of years, it's I feel like the best thing to do is, instead of kind of running away from all of it, is to like dive deep into it and then connect yourself with other people who have been through the same thing. And so I kind of wanted to write songs that were both anthems for, you know, survivors of whatever they've been through, and then you know, people who are on the oppression end of political injustice. Like that's something that was big for me. And you know, just anybody who really wants to feel connected to the beauty in their pain, if that makes any sense.
It does.
And it's an intense record. It's an intense record to listen to, but my hope was that people would feel empowered and seen through listening to it. And you know, you said earlier that it's not preachy, which is great, because like I never want to be that way. But I wanted people to hear this record and definitely feel like they had kind of a friend, you know, like I guess a sonic friend to put in their car and drive to work or wherever to, and feel connected to. So yeah.
Well, you know, and obviously more singles and music videos and everything coming out of this. Let's talk about the documentary. I can't wait to see this.
Yes.
I mean, that had to be a little bit strange. I mean, you know, did it feel kind of like a voyeur thing to where like the camera, you know, I mean, because once again, you said, you know, you're producing this yourself, no pressure. You're the songwriter, you're the lead singer, you're the guitarist.
Yeah.
And then you've got cameras doing a documentary on the Blowback.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something else that was important to me, is for people to see not only an artist producing themselves, but a female artist producing themselves and doing it successfully. And I think that's a big thing in the industry, that, you know, more representation is needed there for sure. So there's
Definitely.
that, but I also like there, you know, there's like when you put an album out as an artist, there's always like, okay, when are we doing a music video? And I wanted to do a documentary instead of like a narrative music video, because it felt so much more real to me to see how the cake is made, instead of, you know, look at me in my music video. Like I'd rather people see the process. And because I think it is, you know, that's kind of like the visual journal that you were mentioning earlier. And there's some really cool parts in it that I think people are going to enjoy watching. You see all the gear that I used, all the pedals, all the amps, and the mics and the mic placements, and, you know, the drums and the vocal takes. There's a point where the vocal takes happen for Silencer, and it's a really super intense and human experience that my friend who directed and produced the documentary, Jen Parkhill, incredible person, incredible at what she does. And she really made me feel very comfortable to show that side of me, because I don't normally show that creative, process to people. And so she's one of those rare people that kind of makes other people feel really comfortable to do that. And so I wasn't too worried about the cameras being there because of her. And so it was a really cool thing to have footage from this record on film, and I'm excited for people to see it.
I think everyone's going to enjoy it, but I got to bring this up too. I would be remiss if I did not, Emily. Let's talk guitars. So I happened to be at the Gibson garage when they launched your guitar, and I was telling you before we started the interview, with the White Wolf, to where it's like they were everywhere, on the stage. They had the video of you, and they had all this stuff going on, the guitars over in the Epiphone area. Let's talk about, your Epiphone signature models, because you don't only have one, you have multiple models. So how did this come about? I mean, for a guitar player like yourself, and, and you're kind of getting to the point to where, you can play any guitar you want, but then to have your own signature models out there and having people play guitars that you designed.
It's pretty unreal. Like, honestly, like I kind of feel like I'm in a little bit of a dream when you said that to me, because a lot of times, like, it has super sunk in, that they're out there and they're, mine and people are playing them. Like, it's really incredible. But for me, like, I wanted that guitar to be something that people could pick up and feel like it was theirs. And sometimes, like, when I go to a show and I see an incredibly beautiful guitar, I'm distracted by that guitar the whole time, and I don't like really listen to the show. And I wanted people to have a really pretty guitar that wasn't distracting at all, and that could like meld to their own bodies and feel like parts of them, because that's how this guitar feels for me. It just feels like, a part of me. And my journey with Epiphone has been incredible. They're one of those rare brands that is very supportive of emerging artists and, artists that they believe in. And I've had some really great champions in that company, like Cody Allen. He's my rep from Austin, and we met several years ago, and he flew me and my band out to the NAMM conference in Anaheim, and so that's where we kind of connected with the rest of the Epiphone crew, and they noticed that I played at Sheridan, and that was like the guitar that I took everywhere, and it was very much me. And so that's kind of where the idea of a signature was born, is at that conference. And yeah, it's been really incredible to be a part of that family and be seen by them and seen by such a big brand. And yeah, I mean, it's like, it's still, I'm still like, it's, you say like you have two models, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I do.
Well, and once again, you and I being guitar gear nuts as we are, but it's like, the Sheridan model, what a great instrument. And you've had certainly iconic musicians play them over the years, and including, John Lennon, Johnny Lee Hooker, the list goes on and on. But what I like about your models is that you made some neat changes that I think make them work for players, of all ages, and certainly, and they're at an affordable price point. But with the diamond sound holes instead of the F holes, and with the matte finish, with the subdued hardware, the neck feels great. I mean, it's got the center block, so you don't have the feedback, and they're like a yin and yang of guitars. And it's like, but like you said, it's like, okay, they're not. It's like, oh my gosh, drop the lettuce guitar. But then again, they stand apart, and they're a statement for you. And I think that's why so many people are gravitating towards your signature model, is that it modernizes the Sheraton, because the Sheraton's been around a long time, as you and I both know. but I think it kind of brings it into the now with you making your statements with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, that was for sure the goal. Like I've always loved the Sheridan, but it is very much of a statement. If it's huge, it's big and the headstock is massive, and so I wanted to streamline that guitar model. And so for mine, the headstock is much more proportionate, and then the body is pretty much the same, but the diamond F holes are really fun because I mean I can grab the top of it and just like walk around with it, whereas like a normal F hole, you can't do that. So and they reverberate really interestingly. So it's like a normal F hole reverberates in a certain way, and then with the low output pickups that are in there and the diamond F holes, there's so much sustain. And then with the matte finish, there's like not that kind of plasticky kind of pop that kind of diminishes the feedback, or not the feedback, but the
tone.
Yeah, the tone. Sorry.
Yeah, because you're right. And I thought that also with the diamond F holes that you went with the sound holes, that it also lets it sound better acoustically, whether you're plugged in or not. And with the thinner matte finish, the whole guitar kind of resonates. But I think a lot of people are going to be drawn to it also because the neck is not so chunky and fat. So when you're, when you're playing it, whether you're a younger person, someone with small hands or whatever, it's going to accommodate them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely have little tiny raccoon hands, so it's like easy for me to play, like really easy for me to play. And I wanted it to kind of feel like the custom shop, and the neck being matte on the back, it's like really easy to it's like butter. And so yeah, my goal was for people to really enjoy playing it and for it to feel like theirs. And because sometimes, I mean, you're a gear nerd. You walk into a guitar shop and there's a signature model, and it's very clear that it's a signature model. And it's fun to play, but it doesn't feel like yours. Like that's at least how I feel when I go to a music shop and I pick up a signature guitar. And so I kind of wanted it to be kind of like the reason why the black one is called a stealth is because I wanted it to be stealth, in that it's like you don't know it's a signature model until you turn it over and you see that there's a signature on the back, and you're like, oh, interesting. It's
very tasteful, but and that's so right, because I mean, a lot of the signature model instruments, as we both know from working in guitar shops, to where it's like, if you're playing an Elvin Bishop 335, everybody's going to know it's an Elvin Bishop 335. I mean, there's certain models that's like, okay, well, that's, if you're playing a Stevie Ray Vaughan, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan. It has initials on the pick guard. But with yours, I think the neat thing is for people, like you said, is that, it's a signature model with, things that you came to the table with Epiphone, but also, it can be their own. It's not like a blazing, it's not like with Emily Wolfe on the pick guard on as we know, so many of them are, and I'm not knocking it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've bought my share of signature guitars. But to me, with this, it's like, no matter what kind of music you're doing, they can do that style of music. They're not going, oh my gosh, I can only play and sound like Emily Wolfe.
Yeah, that's definitely not what I want, because like, I mean, of course I love to play music in my own style, but I love listening to other artists and everyone's own creative approach to music. And if this guitar is part of that, then that's, I've done my job as a designer of it. So
and I was thinking, what goes great with a great guitar? What Emily really fits with a signature effects pedal, maybe like some of the ones that you used on this album. I heard a lot of unique effects. I heard some fuzz. I heard, what were your key effects? What were your go-tos? Correct me if I'm wrong, I think I heard a clon in there. I mean, what were you using?
Yes, I have a massive road case full of pedals that I used on this album. There's so many that I used. Let's see, what did I mainly use? Do you want me to get some? like out of my box? I can if you want. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Show them to the viewers.
It's like,
oh my
okay,
gosh.
it's right here. 1 second. I'm so sorry. I should have had these out already, but
Well, I like it also that we can see your amplifiers off, to your left also.
yeah, it's been awesome to just be able to experiment with gear
And so you're saying there might be a signature model coming possibly of a guitar effects.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of there's a couple of different companies that I'm working with actually, but so this I used a lot. This is called the Alpha Wolf. It's a prototype.
Oh yeah.
But it's like the second prototype, but it's based on a solid state mixer that I use for like distortion, and it doesn't sound great, but it's really unique. And that is something that I love about Queens of the Stone Age records. It's like the guitar tones are really like ratty and like kind of weird. And so this, I don't know if you can see, but there's like, it's essentially amazing. Like, yeah, it's awesome. It's so fun. And I use that a lot. And then there's this, what is the Rare Buzzer Effects? This guy out of Ohio put this together. It's another prototype, but it's essentially like a fuzz. His rubidium fuzz is his own fuzz, and then since I use this octave pedal on most of my stuff,
Earthquaker devices.
Yeah, it's the best. The Tentacle. So that's like here. So
I like it that with the fine printing with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
So no expense was spared on the prototype.
No, but it's awesome.
So cool.
So yeah, this is another prototype, but this mixer is by Spindrift Audio, and he's so awesome. He's such a sweet guy, and it's been really cool to be involved in the pedal community like that.
Well, and listen to the album though, and once again, when our viewers do, and download the entire album, obviously it's got to be on vinyl, but it's like I can hear so many different guitar textures. I think that's certainly where your producer skills really stepped in on this, Emily, to where you didn't just go like with one guitar sound or one, you really mixed it up for every song.
Yeah, there were, I think, 16 different guitars in total on this record. like a lot of different pickup configurations, from P90s to Stoat bars to gold foil. Regular, I use my double neck, my Epiphone double neck a lot, and then my signature guitar a lot too. Yeah, like layering those different pickups, like stereo layering was really a fun thing to do.
So essentially what you're telling us then, with the headlining tour, and you're going to be touring Europe in the spring, you're going to need more roadies. And you're going to have more of the inky cases to carry all the guitars and the pedals,
probably, but I'll most likely end up carrying it myself with my band, because that's kind of how I roll. But one day hopefully I'll have a
well, but I mean, you got to look at this too, Emily. Certainly from starting out playing guitar at 5 and then doing drums and everything, look at where you are now, and doing an incredible album like the Blowback has to feel great, especially, with, you've toured with other musicians, but now headlining shows and doing this, and with the big European tour coming up in the spring, it seems like you're doing pretty well.
Thanks. I think so. Yeah, I think I'm at a point when, and I feel like I kind of got to this point through producing my record. I feel very kind of confident in my own abilities, and I can't say that for the other records that I made. There's a lot, as an artist, there's a lot of insecurity and a lot of like that voice in your head that says, is this good? Does anybody care? But this album, it's like, it was so important to me that it wasn't about that at all. It was like, I just hope this record is used by anybody who needs to use it in whatever way they need to use it. So thanks for saying that.
Well, and I think also, don't be surprised if movie and TV shows are reaching out to you, because I thought, oh my gosh, these could so work, in tandem with movie and TV scores and everything, with some of these songs just just wow. But I want to make sure for our viewers, Emily, with the new album out, the Blowback is out, and the documentary, and obviously with the incredible tour, signature Epiphones, pedals on the horizon. Where should our viewers go for website, social media, everything Emily Wolfe?
Oh man, they can go to my website, emilywolfemusic.com, and Emily Wolfe Music is the handle for every social app that's out there. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the stuff. So yeah, that's where they can find me. And man, thanks for saying all those kind words. Made my day. It's only 11:30 here in Texas, and I feel great already.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So nice.
Once again, the album, Emily, is just. I think it's your best work to date. I've certainly enjoyed your past albums and your past songs, and you've had hit songs. But it's such. I just think you're sharing of yourself so much in the Blowback, and I think it's going to help other people too, which was obviously your goal. And I think it's going to be so exciting with the documentary, and to get to see you live, and just having the guitar techs bringing you another guitar. It's like, here's the double neck, here's your signature model, here's your other signature model,
Yeah.
And you just be dancing on all the new pedals, right?
Oh, you know it. You know it. Love. I bring pedal boards just everywhere. I just love pedals so much. Gear, all of it.
But you also know how to use them in the right way. I tell you, Emily Wolfe, it's such an honor to have you on the show. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.